I am Joab, son of Zeruiah. I was born into a family destined for greatness. My mother, Zeruiah, was King David's sister, making David my uncle. This royal connection set the stage for my future. I grew up alongside my brothers, Abishai and Asahel, in Bethlehem, the town of our lineage. From a young age, our mother instilled in us a sense of duty, courage, and loyalty to our family. She often told us stories of our ancestors and the divine anointing of our uncle David by the prophet Samuel. These tales fueled our ambition and set our hearts on supporting David's destiny to become king. Abishai, the eldest, was a brave and fierce warrior. He was always the one to take charge, leading us in countless skirmishes during our youth. His strength and valor were evident even as a child. I remember one time when a lion threatened our flock, and Abishai, without hesitation, faced the beast with nothing but a staff. His courage saved us that day and set the tone for his future as a warrior. Asahel, the youngest, was known for his incredible speed and agility. He could outrun anyone and was always eager to prove himself in battle. Asahel was like the wind, swift and elusive. His speed was legendary among our people, and he often used it to outmaneuver opponents in mock battles. Together, we formed a formidable team, united by our love for each other and our dedication to David's cause. Our journey to prominence began during the reign of King Saul. David, our uncle, had been anointed by the prophet Samuel as the future king of Israel, which created a significant rift between him and Saul. We stood by David, supporting him in his quest to fulfill God's will. The rivalry with Saul's army was intense. Saul, driven by jealousy and paranoia, sought to eliminate David, seeing him as a threat to his throne. We spent years on the run, hiding in caves and wilderness areas while Saul relentlessly pursued us. During these times, we honed our skills as warriors and developed a deep camaraderie with David's other followers. It was a time of hardship, but also of growth and preparation for the roles we would eventually play in the establishment of David's kingdom. The first major battle that tested our mettle was the conflict with the Philistines. Under David's leadership, we fought valiantly, and our prowess on the battlefield did not go unnoticed. The Battle of Keilah was one such instance where we demonstrated our loyalty, and the Philistines had attacked the town, and David, seeking God's guidance, decided to intervene despite the risks. We successfully repelled the Philistines, earning the gratitude of the townspeople and solidifying our reputation as capable warriors. Another significant battle was the one against the Amalekites who had raided Ziklag, our temporary home, and taken our families captive. We pursued them relentlessly and, through God's guidance, defeated them and rescued our loved ones. The raid on Ziklag was one of the most harrowing experiences of my life. We had been living in Ziklag under the protection of Achish, the Philistine king of Gath, as David sought refuge from Saul. One day, while we were away preparing to join the Philistines in battle against Saul, the Amalekites saw their opportunity. They attacked Ziklag, burning it to the ground and taking our wives, children, and livestock captive. Upon our return, we were met with a scene of utter devastation. The smoke still rose from the smoldering ruins of our homes. Our hearts sank as we realized what had happened. The cries of our men, mourning for their lost families, filled the air. David himself was greatly distressed, but in that moment of despair, he sought strength from the Lord. David inquired of God through the ephod, asking whether we should pursue the raiders. The answer was clear: and overtake them. So with renewed determination, we set out on a relentless pursuit. We traveled tirelessly, driven by the hope of rescuing our loved ones. Along the way, we encountered an Egyptian slave, abandoned by the Amalekites because he had fallen. He was weak and near death, but we gave him food and water, and in gratitude, he led us to the Amalekite camp. Under the cover of night, we approached the camp and observed the Amalekites in the midst of their celebrations, oblivious to the danger lurking nearby. David devised a strategy, and at dawn, we launched a surprise attack. The battle was fierce, but our resolve was unbreakable. We fought with the fury of men determined to save their families. The Amalekites were caught off guard and overwhelmed by our assault. We cut through their ranks, sparing none except for 400 young men who escaped on camels. The victory was ours, and with it came the joyous reunion with our families. We recovered everything the Amalekites had taken, including our wives and children. Not a single person was lost. It was a moment of immense relief and gratitude. We returned to Ziklag, now a place of both sorrow and triumph, carrying the spoils of war and the renewed hope of rebuilding our lives. One of the most pivotal moments in our lives was the battle at Gibeon. It was here that Asahel, in his youthful eagerness, met his tragic end. Chasing after Abner, the commander of Saul's army, Asahel's speed and determination proved. Despite Abner's warnings, Asahel persisted, and Abner, in self-defense, struck him down. The loss of our youngest brother was a devastating blow, fueling our desire for vengeance and further solidifying our resolve to see David on the throne. I vividly remember the anguish that gripped our hearts upon Asahel's death. It was a turning point for me, a moment when I vowed to see justice served and to ensure that our family's sacrifice was not in vain. The pain of losing Asahel fueled my determination to become a leader who would protect our people and bring stability to Israel. David recognized our unwavering loyalty and skill. After the death of Saul and his sons, David became the king of Judah and later of all Israel. He appointed me as the commander of his army. My primary task was to unite the divided kingdom and to establish David's rule over all of Israel. I took on this role with determination, knowing that my brothers and I had a crucial part to play in the realization of God's plan for David. As commander, I led many campaigns to consolidate David's kingdom. One of the first challenges was dealing with the remnants of Saul's supporters. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, had been declared king over Israel by Abner. We engaged in a prolonged conflict with them, which culminated in Abner's defection to David's side. Despite my personal vendetta, David's wisdom prevailed, and we welcomed Abner's support to unify the kingdom. Amidst the battles and political intrigue, I found time to marry and start a family. My wife, though not as prominent in historical records, was a source of strength and support. She understood the demands of my position and provided a sanctuary for me away from the chaos of war. Our union was blessed with children who carried on the legacy of courage and loyalty. Balancing family life with the demands of being a military commander was challenging, but my commitment to both was unwavering. My children grew up hearing tales of their father's exploits and the sacrifices of our family. I made it a point to teach them the values of loyalty, bravery, and the importance of serving God and our nation. My home, though often filled with the shadows of conflict, was a place of love and nurturing. As commander, I faced numerous challenges, both external and internal. The most significant internal conflict was my rivalry with Abner, Saul's former commander, who initially opposed David's rule. However, after Saul's death, Abner sought to align himself with David, recognizing the inevitable. Despite his efforts, I harbored a deep resentment towards him for Asahel's death. When Abner met with David to negotiate peace, I saw an opportunity to avenge my brother. I lured Abner into a trap and killed him, a decision that brought both relief and further complications. David was deeply grieved by Abner's death and publicly mourned him, distancing himself from my actions. It was a moment of tension between my loyalty to my brother and my loyalty to David. Despite this, David understood the complexities of our situation and retained me as his commander, recognizing the value of my experience and dedication. One of the most painful chapters of my life was dealing with Absalom, David's rebellious son. Absalom's charm and ambition led him to challenge his father's rule, plunging the kingdom into civil war. Despite my loyalty to David, I felt a deep sorrow for the young prince. When the final battle against Absalom came, I was torn between my duty to David and my compassion for Absalom. Ultimately, I chose to end Absalom's rebellion by killing him, an act that brought me both David's wrath and a heavy heart. I remember the day vividly. Absalom had been caught by his hair in the branches of an oak tree, left dangling and helpless. Despite David's explicit orders to deal gently with him, I knew that allowing Absalom to live would only prolong the conflict and endanger David's reign. I thrust 3 javelins into his heart, ending the rebellion, but forever changing my relationship with David. The king's grief was profound, and though he did not remove me from my position, our bond was never the same. As the years passed, I continued to serve David faithfully. My loyalty, however, was often tested by the complex politics of the court